Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 186, where I was black, and my opponent kicked off with d4, and I got into the Slav defense. Before I start the game, let me say thanks to all the listeners who subscribed to me this year. This is my New Year's Day game, so this is the 1st of January 2014. I played this game today, and I'm uploading it today as well. So Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you had a good 2013, and I hope you have an even better 2014. I hope this channel is helping you in achieving your New Year's resolution. Try to have some interesting and instructive content for you throughout the year, not the rest of the year, the whole year coming up, and maybe you can make 2014 a year of improving your chess game. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at this game. My opponent played d4, and I played d5. The classical response, cancel that, and then he goes c4, and I play c6. So that's the Slav defense. And he goes knight f3. If he plays knight c3, if you've watched my channel, you know that you can answer knight c3 with the move e4, the win-hour gambit, a very interesting line to play. So that's why knight f3 is the most popular move here. It just avoids that line so you don't have to worry about it. Not that it's, so scary. It's just yet another line to learn, and sometimes it's better to avoid these things if you can. So I answer knight f6, the main move, and then he plays knight bd2, which is a bit of an unusual move. And the reason this is unusual is it blocks the queen's attack on this square here. Oh, that's not it. I'm sorry. It's not that it's blocking the queen's attack on here. Is that normally the knight is posted to c3, and the knight is attacking this d5 square, and the queen also. And because the knight is on d2, what that means is the move bishop to f5 is possible here. You can play e6 too, and that's probably a fine way to play as well. But if you see, it's interesting to get in the move bishop f5 while you can. Normally bishop f5 is a bit questionable because of the move queen to b3. And what queen b3 does is it's normally a double attack, attacking the b7 pawn and attacking the d5 pawn. But you see, the knight is not on c3 here, so it's not really a double attack. This pawn is adequately defended, and so after queen to b3 here, I can defend the b pawn with either queen b6 or queen c7, and black is just fine. So this line is not so great for white. So I get the move bishop f5 in, which is one of your objectives with the Slav defense, is to get that move in if you can. A lot of times you can't, and so after knight c3 I will just go ahead and play the move e6 and leave the bishop behind the pawn chain. Okay, but in this case you can. So you get an equal position. It says h3 and e3 are the normal moves. My opponent plays b3. And we're out of the opening book now, so let's just look at the notation tab. And so after b3, actually, the engine likes black here. So I've done okay in the opening. So I continue on. Normal moves, bishop to b2, and bishop to d6. Maybe e7 is a little more accurate. Bishop on d6 is subject to the c5 push, but I have ideas of attacking along this diagonal. He goes g3, blunting the bishop. And then I go h5 immediately, and it's interesting. Okay, I don't normally play moves like h5. I don't think of them, but I've been watching the Chess Explained channel, and he will throw in these moves quite a bit. And it's an engine choice here too. That's very interesting. It's not clear exactly. Well, I didn't follow it up the best way in this game. Let me say that. And let's see, white should play bishop g2 here, just continuing developing, but he throws in the move h3, and I was thinking, well, he's kind of weakening his king side here, and so that started making me think about attacking ideas. This pawn here on g3 only has the f pawn supporting it, so it's a bit weaker. So my opponent plays, no, this is my move, knight bd7, I play that, okay, good move still. He goes bishop g2, and I go knight to e4, maybe a bit premature. It says I should just castle here. I always wonder about castling when you've got this extended knight, but I guess one thing this pawn does, even if you don't advance the pawn any further, is it clamps down on this square g4 rather. Pawn on h5 clamps down on g4, so it means that white can't play the move g4 and kick the bishop, so you can just castle here and enjoy these good positions for your pieces. So I play in a different way. I play knight e4. He castles. Okay, I still have an advantage here. And then queen c7 with the idea, so I've got 3 pieces now lined up on g3, and I'm intending to sacrifice something there. And so after c5, it's kind of now or never. And the engine says never. The engine says your best move here is just move the bishop back to e7, where it probably should have been in the first place. Or if you're going to do something, you can play knight takes d2. I don't quite believe that. Well, I worried about knight takes d2. Pawn takes bishop. Oh, knight takes f3 with check. I missed that. Bishop takes f3, and then queen takes pawn. Because I was thinking, because of the threat on the queen, you would end up losing a piece. We back up here. I thought, well, I had to respond to this threat, and then I would end up being down a piece. But I can play that first, and then take the pawn. Okay, so that would be an all right way to play either one of those, either bishop e7 or knight takes d2. Instead, I play the sacrifice bishop takes g3. Now, there's 2 possible sacrifices here, bishop takes or knight takes. So you saw the evaluation of the engine. Let's look at that. The one I played, it thinks is about 1 point in favor of white. So basically, I get 2 pawns for the piece and nothing more. So no compensation, really. And I was wondering if knight takes was any stronger. No, knight takes is worse because he's got c takes d6. Yes, okay, I'm sorry. It's not really an option here. I have to take with the bishop. Okay, so bishop takes, and then he played pawn takes, and I played knight takes. Is that right? Now here it says I could play knight takes g3, queen takes g3, or knight df6. But it like knight takes g3. Okay, that was my other question. Is it better to come in with the queen or with the knight? So he plays rook to f2. And so I knew during the game that this was probably not a sound sacrifice, but it's part of trying to learn, when are these sacrifices good and when they aren't. And the one thing I noticed was that his bishop here is a little bit out of play. It's not doing a whole lot. But his other pieces are good. They're around his king, and they're in a position where they can come in and support him. But I was still hopeful that I could get in moves like g4 and g5, g4. And so I was just castling queenside with the idea of pushing these pawns forward. It says h4, castle kingside, or knight f6. So after castle queenside, okay, still about 1 pawn in favor of white. White plays b4. And then I play rook d to g8, going on with this idea. And the problem is I just didn't allow for my opponent's move. You see, knight g5, top engine choice, is actually a great defense, because it stops me from pushing this pawn forward, and it attacks the f2 pawn. Now, maybe I should have just played f6 here. f7. It attacks the pawn on f7. But it thinks knight f6, which I played is a good move. What happens if I just play pawn to f6? And the knight comes into f7 anyway. And then, how about if I just move the rook? Oh, this knight d6 is a very good square. Okay, so I can't really let his knight into f7, so knight f6 is a good choice. It allows the queen to defend this f7 square along the 7th row there. My opponent played queen a4, just going for a counterattack. And often a good way to respond to attack, especially the problem with my attack, in addition to the fact that he has a lot of defenders here, is that it's just too slow. It takes me a while to get my pieces into place and to push on with moves like f6 and g5. His pieces are here slowing me down. It's a basic problem. So anyway, the queen is attacking a7. I have to do something about that, and then pushes on with b5. So I probably need to take that. Yeah, it looks like that's one of the choices. Thought ignoring it was going to lead to some trades. So I take, and queen takes, starting to set up an attack along the b file. And the knight f to e4. I'm playing this so that I can get in the move f6. But you see, from an engine point of view, my advantage, or white's advantage, has been increasing throughout this. So by continuing the attack, I'm playing into my opponent's hands. My attack is just not coming through here. So he takes, and then I take back with the pawn, thinking that that will help me here. But it says he can just play bishop to c1. That's an interesting move, bishop c1. It gets out of the way of the rook, so the rook can go to the b file. And how about if I kick the knight here? Then, oh, bishop to f4. Skewering the queen. Okay, so that's bishop c1 is threatening bishop to f4. That's why it's such a good move. So after that, I have to play a move like e5 to try and block up this diagonal, and that's just going to cost me some more material. So things would be falling apart. So yeah, bishop c1 is a very interesting move, combining attack and defense, because it lends some support to his knight here too. Okay, so he played e3, and now actually my advantage is not as bad as it, or white's advantage is not as great as it was, because I can hit the knight, and the knight has no moves, so he's forced to sack the exchange. Although you notice once again, that's the best move. So my opponent's playing pretty well along here. So watch how white defends. It's a good example of how to defend against unsound attack. Getting your counterattacking chances going, and then right here, okay, knight e6 is the only move, but it's good enough. It's yeah. Otherwise he's losing the knight. So it really was the only move. Not that it was a hard move to see. And now it says queen c6 is probably a little better, I guess, than what I played. I was still worried about the queen trade. But after the queen trade, actually the material is close to even, because I have a rook for 2 bishops, and I have an extra pawn, I think. But my pawns are kind of messed up. So white still has the advantage, but maybe it's not as strong as an advantage as he has after my move, queen e7, hitting the knight, but he can defend with d5. A nice move, just keeping his attack rolling and defending this knight and keeping it here on this good post. So I don't have much choice at this point. I've got to continue with my attack. And so that was the basic problem with my attack, is it was just too slow. It took me too long to get these pawns moving. I need to open up lines, and I didn't have a quick way to do it for these rooks. So that was the flaw in my attacking plan. So white played bishop to a3 here, setting up a sneak attack on my queen. So I defend. Oh yeah, I don't need to defend just yet. I play the move h4 because his bishop, I can just take it. Then he plays rook b1, which is an interesting move, because now if he plays c6, I don't have time to take the bishop. I don't have time to take the bishop because he will checkmate me here on b7. So this queen, I can't allow the queen to be distracted off defense of b7. So I play the move rook h7, which defends laterally, and now the queen can go. And then he defends his bishop with queen b3. So once again, c6 is a threat. And I didn't have any idea of how to meet that. The engine says queen e8, just dropping back. But it's still winning for white. So I just push on with my attack, hoping against hope to get something going. But he's just too fast now. This pawn comes forward, and knight e2 check is possible, but doesn't accomplish much. It says knight e2 check, king moves, and then queen takes a3. So giving up your queen for a bishop is not very attractive. So I try to hold on to the material at least, and he plays c7 check, a very good move, top choice. And now my only move to avoid being mated is to sacrifice my queen here on c7, and that just will white will certainly win after that. So I play king c8, which is the second toughest defense, and now he's got a mate in 2, which he mates me in 3 here. Queen b7, king d7 is the only move, the only square I can move to. And now just queening here is checkmate. He didn't play that, but it's a discovered check. So even though my rook can take the queen, it doesn't help because I'm still in check, and there's nowhere for the king to run to. So that's mate. But he mated me in a slightly different way. He played queen c6 check, and once again, there's nowhere for my king to run to. All these squares are guarded, and that's supported by the pawn. That's blocked by the bishop. That's covered by the queen. That's covered by the pawns. The king only has one move, and then rook here is mate. Okay, so nice game, nice checkmating pattern, and hope you guys found that interesting. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and once again, Happy New Year. Bye.